Hey, Smart Chiropractors. Welcome to a very special interview. You might know him as a money expert. You might know him as a New York Times bestselling author. What you might not know is he is incredibly funny and going out on a comedy tour soon. We dropped that link below. We're going to have a conversation today with Mr. Garret Gunderson. Garret, how are you doing today? And Jason, I see you over there as well. How are you guys doing?
Hey, Jeff. Good to be with you, man. As you guys have been in this room that I'm here doing. It looks like I'm an alcoholic. This is just a bunch of scotch behind me. It's worse than that. I'm just a douchey whiskey sommelier. So I've got a big medallion and I can do whiskey tastings. It basically means I took a course. So to say I'm a whiskey sommelier is not the same level as to say I'm a comedian. I've done a lot more to work to be a comedian, that's for sure.
Garret, it is so awesome to have you here, buddy. Let's just start off by kind of cutting to the chase. Smart Chiropractors, this is another sort of you heard it here first type of an opportunity. We do our best to try to always give you sort of the inside scoop. Wherever we can hook you up, we want to hook you up, and we believe today this is going to be another one of those opportunities. So, Garret, let me just sort of ask you a few questions. Jeff and I, a few weeks ago, came on out on your exclusive invitation to see you do a, yes, drum roll please, comedy show. I know people know you, as Jeff said, as an author, as a wealth expert, as a consultant, the money whisperer behind, many super successful chiropractors and businesses. Now you're doing comedy. Jeff and I got an inside scoop to see what you're doing. Let's just tell everybody you're doing 15 cities in the next several weeks, and we're giving Smart Chiropractors the opportunity to really not only enjoy it for yourselves, your families, your friends, but also we'll talk about this, we'll break this down. If you wanted to do something special for either a select few or select many people in your lives or people in your practice, Garret, we're going to break down, what Garret's show's all about, what opportunity that might be, but that's what this is really all about, just the people are watching going, what in the hell's going on? So, Garret, let's get into comedy. What inspired you? The show is awesome, but break down for people what you've been up to and how you've gotten here.
Look, man, when I was a kid, I loved telling jokes. I'd learn dirty jokes from my uncles, repeat them in inappropriate times, but even though it wouldn't get me in trouble, my family would still laugh. So I have a Mormon side of my family because I grew up in Utah, and they didn't care. They wanted me to tell the dirty jokes, and the Catholic side of my family wanted just the same. And, for a long time, I just like to tell those types of things at family functions. And then in 2005, I'm at this formal financial function at the Four Seasons. And the band finishes playing at the same time I finished shooting tequila. So I decided to go up on stage and try my hand at a comedy. It didn't go well. It was a train wreck. My wife left the room with embarrassment. So for years, when I would speak and tell jokes and people would laugh, I'm like, babe, I should do stand-up comedy. Like, people think I'm funny. She goes, no, you're making them money, so they're super nice. They're just it's a courtesy laugh. You're not as funny as you think you are. And then in August of 2017, we're at a baseball game in Atlanta, and I'm just telling jokes to her in between innings, and she's like, these are funny. Where'd you hear these? I'm like, I'm making them up in my own brain. And that little sliver of light of you're kind of funny coincided with me speaking at my buddy Keith's event, where he said, dude, he's told in the intro how hilarious I was. I'm like, wait, I'm giving a 45-minute financial talk. Now I got to go be funny. And I was funnier than I thought. So I called my buddy who's a comedian. I said, all right, dude, I'm going to do an open mic. Come and help me write a few jokes. Here's my premise. I look like Jesus. I just don't have his powers. And I did. And he goes, dude, that was funny. You should open for us. So for 2 years, it's a hobby, just something fun to do. And on August of 2019, Barry Katz, who's a manager, has managed so many of the greats. I mean, you looked him up, it's like Jon Stewart and Bill Burr and Dave Chappelle and Louis C.K. I mean, it's insane. He's like, hey, what are you doing with this comedy thing? That was a great set. And I was like, I don't know, it's fun. It's just a hobby. He goes, well, nobody's ever done something in money, but money. So what would that look like? And so we started working on it. In November of 2020, I just decided I'm going to immerse myself in writing it, had the basic writing done by January 9th, and then came on while I was in the middle of writing it and did something for you guys to help me practice. And it's like a holiday thing, and it went decent. it went decent for being a Zoom. I got enough laughs to still move forward, and then invited you guys out April 15th, and we filmed the entire special with 3 Emmy winners on the crew, and we're going to pitch it to a streaming service. But apparently, to do that, I got to go out and do a tour, which is good. It means I got to do a bunch of comedy, so why not? So that's a long story, but that's how I got here.
I love it. I love it. I want to make sure those of you watching, we're going to have a great conversation, have a good time. But for those of you that can't watch the entire show, I'm going to keep cutting to the chase. And that is that now is your time. If you want to do something special, if you want to have a great night out, you want to enjoy some comedy. Many of you know Garrett. Many of you have worked with Garrett. He's a great friend. I'll even call him a brother. Some of my funniest times traveling around the world have been with Garrett. So I want to encourage you, whether it's for yourself and your family, a date night. It is clean, so you can bring kids. They're going to learn about money. Jeff and I saw
mostly clean.
Mostly exactly right. There's a few earmuff moments.
Don't bring kids that believe in Santa or the Tooth Fairy or the Easter Bunny. That's going to be totally ruined. I say bullshit once. That's not too bad for an entire special. I thought, how can you make it more difficult? Money and no swearing. Let's go.
None of that sounds funny to me, but no, I'm just kidding. So this is an opportunity. Jeff has put down, there's a link down below. There's a friends and family code down below. And the reason I keep doing what I'm doing is to really encourage you to get tickets. Jeff, this is to basically, I'll say, your best interest. This is an inside opportunity. If you bring 10 people or more, Garrett will make the time to spend time with you and your patients and your guests. If you want to impress local businesses, maybe even get a bunch of other doctors together, this is your chance to kind of go see the band and know the band. You get to go see Garrett do his thing. It's hilarious. You'll have a great time. But it really is a great opportunity for you to create an event and really, have Garrett edify and endorse you. Links are down below. The price is right. Get your tickets now. And the reason why is not just to make sure you reserve seats, because some of these are small comedy clubs, but also, as Garrett just mentioned, really to support Garrett and his future. I predict, I'll put money down, that you will see Garrett on one of the major streaming services in the next months and years to come. And to help him get there, what we're saying is that by helping fill the audience, whether it's with you, with others, that helps build the demand that these streaming services need to know that, hey, people actually want to watch this guy. He's not just funny to us, but he's got a following. So anyway, just want to cut to the chase. Click the link below. Get yourself some tickets. Garrett, money, comedy, you bring your family into the whole thing. I also know you do a workshop. So take a few minutes and just sort of break down, what's your vision for, you said why you're doing it, but what's your hope in doing this and the impact you want it to have on other people, chiropractors, the public in general?
I know that entertainment is the biggest gateway for transformation. Now, there are those people out there in the world that want to get educated. But unfortunately, as time's gone on, more people are stuck in entertainment and less in education. So I want to plant a seed in 1 billion people by the time I die of hope, of feeling more connected, and being able to be more expressive so that they enjoy life along the way, so they're not just dreaming about a retirement 30 years from today. And I have enough gift in comedy, thank God, that I can start to do that. And when we're laughing, I just feel like we're not worried about the past. We're not thinking about the concerns of the future. We're just present in the moment. And with all of the crazy things in today's world, isn't that nice to just be present, to feel connected, to laugh at the expense of money instead of being intimidated by it, to laugh about things that we go, oh, that actually makes a lot of sense. I never thought of it that way. But I will tell you, when I wrote, I made sure first and foremost it was funny. That was the objective. And then secondarily, could I give a few things that could stick with people? And if they do, help them to navigate the world a little bit better way. And so, yeah, I mean, you guys were both there for the taping. And, even though some people, when I told them I was going to be a comedian, they're like, I didn't know you were funny, which was just so awe-inspiring. But I did anyway, I mean, look, one of the coolest things is this guy, Marty Callner, who George Carlin was the best man at his wedding. And Marty is my executive producer. He actually sat in the editing booth with me 3 different days. And he said, look, if George were alive, he would be here laughing his ass off. But I know from wherever he is, he's looking down, happy that he got to hear what you're saying. He goes, so, I mean, Cindy Crawford just endorsed it. She just watched the special, loved it. So I'm getting the word out through some of those people. But who's really made an impact in my life are chiropractors. From the time I went to Total Solutions, and even before that, when Craig Bueller was my first chiropractor 17 years ago. And then I go to Total Solutions, and there's doctors there worried about my son's health because of my wife's concerns, start making connections. That sets in motion this entire health transformation in my life. I start working with chiropractors as one of the main segments in my business, loving the people. So many of them are now my best friends and the people that I call anytime I have questions about my health. And so I want to help them out. And I know chiropractors are crazy enough to show up in the middle of a pandemic. So rather than being an empty audience, know these chiropractors will be there because they take care of their immune systems. It feels really comforting.
That's awesome, Garrett. And I have a couple questions about where you're headed. I know this is a multi-date tour. There's some places there that are, we'd expect, maybe some locations that you're specifically excited about. You don't have to go date by date, but what are some of those places docs can look forward to catching you, especially as they click that link, head over, they can check out the full schedule. But what are some of those dates you have marked on your schedule that you are, for whatever reason, specifically excited about visiting?
Well, look, I'm opening it in Tempe, Phoenix, and it's like a 4 place. So that kicks off the tour. That's exciting. Then I go from there to La Jolla, Jason's old stomping grounds, and doing the comedies, which the Comedy Store, even though it's La Jolla, that's still a pretty big name. And then I'm doing Gotham, New York. So Gotham Comedy Club in New York, who so many of the greats have been on that stage. I don't know. Even the fact that I'm headed from my hometown of Salt Lake City, where the club owner's like, let me know when you're ready to headline. And I'm like, I'm ready to headline. So it's kind of cool to be in my backyard because when I wrote Killing Sacred Cows, I went all over the place. And that book was in every airport, in every bookstore. And I went to the Salt Lake airport and it was nowhere to be found. They didn't have a single copy, not because it flew off the shelves, but because I live here and nobody gave a shit. It's nice to go to at my hometown and do it, but other places as well. Chicago, that's exciting to be in downtown Chicago doing comedy. Boston, I'm excited and nervous. You know how people from Boston, they can be a little bit harsh. I'm ready. I'm ready for them as long as they're in the crowd. So it's just exciting to be doing this much time on stage with comedy. It's really an exciting thing because, half of my jokes get better when I write them on the fly on the stage because of interaction with the crowd, because of the, I just sent Jason one of my comedy sets I did a few weeks ago, and there were these 5 jokes I'd never said ever before. I was joking about Jesus, and then all of a sudden I say, I made mistakes Jesus never made. My 2 kids. And everybody goes, oh, and I go, oh, say what you will about Jesus, but don't talk about them kids. I'm like, you guys are a bunch of liars. I'm like, you love your kids 94% of the time at best. Anyone that says more than that's just lying to themselves and others. Come on.
Well, the truth is often hilarious, as sad as it is these days. And I have to sort of say, we could all use a little bit more humor these days. The world's a just mess at the moment. I don't think anybody can deny it. So if for no other reason than your own personal enjoyment of some great laughs, there's just so many reasons to go, and I'm asking you to go. I'm saying go see him. Jeff and I literally got on planes to go spend 3 days to go watch the show. We went to the money workshop the next day. There may be a few of you that want to go through the one-day money workshop, which is awesome. And then we got to hang out with, actually, if we can just say it, we got to go up to your cabin and hang out with Barry Katz, who you talk about. And, Jeff mentioned, and I want to say it again, I hope everybody's hearing, Garrett has attracted the coaches, the mentors, the agents, the producers of today's highest, funniest comics and most successful comics are now basically Garrett's support team. And all that to me spells out success. In fact, some of them I think have a 100% success rate. And I don't think Garrett's going to be the one to drop that ball. So you're getting an early opportunity to go get some laughs for yourself, for your practice. And this, I'm just predicting, this is going to be one of those, hey, honey, remember when we saw this guy on Netflix and we brought the practice? That's what's going to happen, whether it's Netflix, Hulu's, or the others. And Garrett, do you want to get into your money workshop at all? And I'll pause to also acknowledge, thank you for writing the foreword for our upcoming book, The Payday Practice. That's going to be coming out. You generously supported your time. I know we're philosophically aligned, not just laugh buddies, but we understand money from a very similar way. You want to get into, I'll say, the parallels of the book and your workshop?
Yeah. So when you sent me the book and I read it, I was like, oh, well, this is exactly what I'm writing about right now with my concept Win and Play. You guys are just getting into the nuts and bolts and details that are absolutely required to implement. So if every word of the book, and it's someone I'm really connected to, because even if it was a good book, that we're friends, Jason, I was like, well, yeah, I'd carve out time for you. And I read it, and I was like, yeah, I'll write the forward because it's an awesome book. And in this money workshop, you came to one in 2 days. And you got surprised that I do to open the workshop, which had so much of the room open up, and a lot of people were crying in a good way. And it was a pretty long standing ovation, and I've been putting the last 2.5 years of my life in it. I mean, my next meeting after this is with an acting coach that coached DiCaprio in 7 movies. So, he's got to work with me afterwards. So we'll see how that goes. But the thing is, I wanted to help money be coachable. And in that workshop, we talked about the 4 money personas that if you don't understand these, which, by the way, when you go to that link and you go to the bottom of the page of that link, I put it where you can take your money persona quiz and figure out which money persona that you are, which determines the outcomes of your money and all the ways that you operate around money. And once you start to understand it, you can learn how to leverage your winning auto persona. So that's just something that's contributed. You can scroll down and do right now. We set up the workshop of how do you win before you begin? Not only where do you plug financial leaks so that you can just keep more of what you make and eliminate budgeting, but how do you make money on the buy, especially in chaotic times like this? How do you take part of this 3-year transfer of wealth where over half of the wealth is going to transition your hand, money being printed and there's a lot of inflation. So we don't have the convenience of sitting around and hoping for the best anymore. We've got an inconvenient time that we've got to do stuff. Otherwise, we end up on. This is a day workshop where I've been refining one of the days since 2014. And I performed that day over 2.5 days, over 100 times. I've condensed it to the very best of into one day. The other day is taking these money personas to understand which one you are and what the 4-part formula is to implement for any vision you have to actually make it a reality. So if you think that money's an obstacle, time's an obstacle, or ability is an obstacle, we help overcome any of those 3 things by going through this workshop and help have a transformation about your relationship with money. So really excited about doing that. And that's pretty unique because here we have this, workshop on the heel of 5 of these comedy cities. And by the way, you mentioned that one of the people on my team is 22 for 22 at getting people on a streaming special. And he tells my wife that, and her response was, is it going to be awkward when you're 22 for 23? I'm asking you to help me prove my wife wrong once again. I mean, the good news is she's not a fan, so she doesn't laugh easily. But when we recorded the special, she was laughing so hysterically that we got the camera on her multiple times. Now, part of these are because I'm telling real stories about my kids acting like a-holes, or real stories of me doing things that now she likes to make fun of and laugh at. So I figure, why not? Let's just add it to the special.
That's awesome, Garrett. And you said the word story there. And I want to just say, from my own experience, seeing it live, going to the workshop the next day, part of the magic that you bring to the table is really the ability to translate that knowledge through stories. And I think that that's just a great talent and skill that you've developed. And it works for comedy because obviously comedy is all about storytelling, but it also works. And I felt it so impactful the following day going through that workshop as you just talked about the 4 personas and really being able to engage, right? And you mentioned this, I'll say it a slightly different way, but the topic of money can be super dry, but how you approach it is just so fresh, and it gives the ability to get excited about it, to laugh about it during the comedy show, and that starts to see deeply, right? So now you start to be able to identify behaviors, change thought patterns, but it all starts based upon the storytelling that you bring to the table. And I'll ask you to kind of trace it back as you started to think about putting together this program. What were maybe those either pain points that you saw people experiencing, the misconceptions that you wanted to shatter, or ultimately the transformations that you're hoping to have happen? And I'm going to go but wide on this, either through the comedy special itself or through the workshop the following day.
Let me start with the comedy show, then I'll get to the workshop. So this guy, Tom Cassetta, is our sound engineer. And he came because he was getting paid and because it was an all-star crew. But he said, when we were in the booth of editing the final day, he goes, when they told me there was going to be a money special that's comedy, he says, to say I was skeptical would be a loose way of saying it. He goes, but I can't tell you how many gut punches. He says, I was gutturally laughing and then got a gut punch all of a sudden. So I know that people say that you learn 3 times more when you laugh or 3 times more when you get scared. So I figured instead of scaring the shit out of people, maybe I'll make them laugh, and that would be a better way to do it. Although I will tell you, one of my favorite pastimes is scaring my kids or my wife, just hiding, and then they come out, and then, yeah. But don't worry, what goes around comes around. I hate scary movies. Watch The Shining. And then my son hid up in my bathroom, so when I was getting ready for bed, he jumped out of the shower and scared me.
Oh.
So, I'll remember that forever. So on the money side, I realized no matter how much luck or saving or discipline, no matter how much effort, no matter how much money, if people didn't understand the psychology of their money persona, that they still had misery to some degree. And they were stuck in one of 2 paradigms, playing not to lose or playing to win. And playing not to lose is obviously something that is damaging, because people are holding on and they're scrimping and they're miserly. It's kind of like the Millionaire Next Door book. But playing to win is a problem too, because people are chasing and they're running and they're never enjoying. I was interviewing Grant Cardone and I said, hey, do you ever take time to celebrate? And he goes, no. I'm like, well, then what's it all for? And he's like, I know, it's something I need to work on. But see, that's the play to win mentality. And I realized I could talk till I'm blue in the face. I could talk for days and it doesn't sink in. But when I take everybody through that exercise where I pick up the guitar and I just take them through 3 minutes, I've never seen anything more effective at moving from scarcity to abundance. So in 3 minutes, and then to actually put the pieces of the puzzle together afterwards, I think expands people's vision, gets them to build a life that they love, gets them to think about what they want, not just what they don't want, and put the financial structure where it's no longer chaos, so they feel more complete and organized. I think it's such a game changer. And I saw this in 2020 because when the pandemic hit, we were flooded with 10 times to 20 times more feedback than we've ever. And I'm so glad I did the work before because I have liquidity. I've set up the automation. I am doing okay, and everybody else I know is not. And I feel like I need to refer people to you. And so I realized who wants to be referred to a financial guy? Who wants to be referred to a financial guy that looks like Jesus? Who wants to be referred to, So I was like, how do we make this where we don't have the regret of people feeling the damage of their relationships not confronting it? And I was like, they could share a comedy special. They could share a one-man show, which is the thing that I do on the second day. They could share these vignettes that people will listen to because they're enjoying it, not intimidated by it. So it's a big change in my life. It makes me confront my own scarcity to say, I was going to do this. I had surgery on November 3rd, a hernia. I tried to do everything naturally for a year, and they're like, you just need to sew that damn thing up. So on November 3rd, I have surgery, and I was talking to my the comedy tour. I'm like, I don't know. And I went to surgery. I'm sitting in my bedroom. It's a dark room. I'm making sure not to take painkillers, and I'm in pain. And I'm like, watching TV going, why am I thinking I could be a comedian? I'm an idiot. There's no way. And I come across the Zen Diaries of Gary Shanley that Judd Apatow did. And I realized without surgery, he was that neurotic every single day. And I'm like, you know what? You never saw the well-adjusted comedian. I'm pretty well-adjusted to go with one. So I flew out to Malibu November 15th, wrote the outline for 2 days, and then I did Barry Katz's podcast. And he announced on the podcast, yeah, on tax day, April 15th, Garrett's going to do his special. I was like, oh, damn, was I that committed? I mentioned that might be a good date. And I went through with it. So, yeah.
It is so awesome, Garrett. I know, I think I speak on behalf of Jeff and myself. We want to support you as much as we possibly can. And that's why we're asking, any of you who are still watching this video to get going, to, either make it an event for yourself, your family. But I was thinking originally, you should take your best clients to this show. I'm now thinking maybe all those people that say I can't afford your care should be the ones you're taking to the show. So think about maybe you want to go through
engagement program.
Right, I was going to say maybe you want to go through your records to see who's on their annual renewals or up for reactivations. Bring them to the show. Garrett, if you'll, as we sort of close up, if you'll sort of give people, I hope I did a good job inviting people to basically the opportunity that chiropractors have. But let me ask you to say it so that they hear it directly from you. What are you offering the opportunity for chiropractors to come do specifically?
I really thought it'd be great if they did invite their patients, and then you mentioned it before, like, hey, what do you think? I was like, thank you, because that's a great idea. And this FF20 is Friends and Family 20 is what it stands for. It's exactly what our cost is to the club. So I don't care whether I make money on this tour. I care about getting this on a streaming service and seeing people in person again. When you came to the special, it was an invite only. I didn't charge anyone because all that I cared about was having my people there that I could express this to and hopefully inspire. And so I'm doing a similar thing here because we have to pay for the club. If I cover the club's costs, I'm super happy. FF20. Bring as many people as you can. I'll bring plenty of books. I'll sign them. I'll sit around and chat afterwards. I love doing that. That's just as much fun or almost as much fun as telling the jokes from the stage. And and we'll be doing some bonuses afterwards too. Like we're bringing video crews with us. I mean, you guys were there for the taping, and so you know the first show. Like you guys were troopers. You decided to stay for both shows as friends, which is not easy. I mean, that was 4 hours, and you'd flown in that day. But we used so much from the second show that I hadn't written. It was just moments where I came up with something, and it was some of the best jokes. Like there's a Paris Viagra story. There's hey, you can get stuff for free because guys are nice at spring break about my wife. There was a whole thing where I accidentally said the tooth bunny instead of the tooth fairy. And that was like 10 minutes of comedy that we kept. And so there's going to be those magical moments. And I want to capture the best. And people that came, I want to give them those magical moments after the whole thing's over as a thank you for attending. So anything that I can do, I want to see you in person. I want to have the laughter. I want to have the experience. I want to help you financially. And if I'm not funny, you get to heckle me. No problem. And I've always done well when someone heckles me. That's like my favorite. Good luck. I do have the stage. I do have some practice. So make sure you're on your A game if you decide to take on that battle.
Garrett, I appreciate you coming on. I cannot wait. Jason and I are planning on dropping in on a show or two. I'm going to encourage everybody that's checked this out. Tap that link down below. Make sure that you identify what city are you going to go to. Maybe it's even 2 and you go back to back, whatever it might be. Head on out, invite some patients, invite some colleagues, utilize the FF20. That is going to give you, I think, over 50% off. As Garrett said, that is just the cost. There is no reason to not head out, have a great night, have a laugh. Garrett has supported chiropractors for a long time. I want to ensure that chiropractors get out and support him. I guarantee you're going to have a fantastic time. Maybe you'll even see Jason and I, depending upon what day that you are at. But Jason, I'll kick it over to you for closing thoughts here.
I think, hopefully we've said it, from the Garrett, I love you, man. We've had so many great laughs, so many great experiences, and I know there's so many more to come. I just want to also say how proud I am of you. One of my core values in life is really, listening to the whisper and having the courage to go for what is oftentimes insane to just about everybody else. I've done my best to live my life that way, and crazy things have happened. You do the same thing, and I admire that so much when people step out and really take the risks into the unknown. And just, be serious for a moment. I admire that about you so much, and I just want to publicly acknowledge you for that. Back to the jokes. Listen, I can't wait to laugh with you. We're going to look at our calendars, get on some planes, and be there to support you ourselves. And we really, really hope that, our tribe, our friends, our family, our clients will be willing to do the same and support you as well. Because as Jeff said, you've been so supportive for our profession in so many ways. And I know we'll continue to do so. So I love you, brother, and I really appreciate everything.
All right, so I know we're finished, but let me tell one 2-minute story about Jason. This is the conclusion. So I'm in Italy, and I've got some friends there, and my wife, and I'd been talking to Jason and Guy because they were talking about coming out to Italy. I'm like, if you guys are out there at the same time, you should come up when we're in Venice. And I wasn't sure it was going to work with the calendar, and like they texted me like, we just got to Venice, and I'm like, awesome. So the next day I had booked this private tour where they had a van, they were going to take us, and all of a sudden, I'm like, great, you guys can come along. Well, this woman's like, no, you can't have more than 6 people, and there's 7. I'm like, no, we're fine. We'll be fine. And she's like, not possible. She's like getting angry. And then we're just sitting there. I'm like, we're going to figure it out. Don't worry. Because Guy and Jason are like, oh, we don't need to go. I'm like, no, you guys are coming. Don't worry about it. So we start talking about Facebook, and Jason starts talking about some advice, and she starts pricking up. She goes, Facebook? And we're like, yeah, Jason's a Facebook expert. Oh, yes. Why don't you come along? Just come on. You guys come on. Puts him up where he has to sit next to her. She's the worst tour guide of all time because all she wants to know about is Facebook. I'm like, hey, what's that? She goes, oh, that's a very old building. Well, no shit. And then we're just telling jokes, and Jason's jaw and stomach hurt by the end of the day. It was an epic day. We went to a winery. We went to a little town and had some grappa. We went and had another quaint town, like a medieval town, and had a nice lunch. And then we had this dinner at our hotel. And it was just like we had these waiters just for us, and they're in on the jokes. I mean, it was just a hysterical day. And so my goal is to make Jason laugh at least that hard at the next time that he shows up, and anyone else that shows up. So I want tears of laughter. I want stomachs hurting. I want jaws hurting. You're going to have to adjust your patience because they're going to be in bad posture. The whole time. So, yeah.
I like it. There you go. The comedy show is actually a patient acquisition tool. It's a retention tool. you got plenty of, exactly. So be sure to pick up your tickets. All the tickets, I believe, Garrett, everything is on sale right now. Click on down below. It is super limited on the amount that can use FF20. FF20 is going to get you $20 tickets, but they are limited. So jump on it. Ensure that you can utilize it before the clubs start selling out. I think I saw some dates were already at capacity, maybe over capacity. So be sure to get on it, everybody. Have a great time. Enjoy some time with your team, your colleagues, your family, your friends, your patients, whoever it might be. Get out there, support Garrett. Maybe we'll twist his arm and have him back on one more time before he hits the road, but I know it's coming up super soon. And have a great day, everybody. We will catch you very soon. Garrett, you're awesome. Thanks for coming on, and we'll see you soon. Hey, if you like that video, be sure to subscribe to the Smart Chiropractor. We are posting videos on how you can market your chiropractic practice in a way that teach and invites consistently. We have found that is the magic formula to big time growth. So if you like this video, be sure to comment down below, smash that subscribe button, or visit us at thesmartchiropractor.com.